Zeus is an airtime machine located at Mount Olympus Water and Theme Park in Wisconsin Dells. It's one of their 4 wind roller coasters, the second largest, and it's also one of those signature rides that you see when you get to the park. It intertwines with nearby rides like Cyclops and Hades, so it just looks like a mess of wind track where you don't know which belongs to which. It's a really interesting effect, but Zeus itself is an out and back coaster. Most of it runs parallel to the front entrance, and you're going to notice it pretty quickly because it goes right under Hades' first drop. You're going to get to walk right next to the first drop as you make your way through the entrance. You can almost touch the freaking track. It's that close to you. And Zeus is also the first ride entrance that there is in Mount Olympus. So hence why a lot of the public goes here first thing when the park opens. It's a great ride, so this is going to be my full in-depth review. I'm going to talk about my experience on the ride and my general thoughts. So to start things off, I got about 5 rides on Zeus, couple in the front, couple in the back, and my general thoughts were very positive. I didn't know anything about this ride going in. I didn't even know it was an out and back coaster. I thought it was like a twister layout or something. I hadn't watched any POVs, and so when I rode it, I was surprised at how similar it was to another wind roller coaster I've ridden, Timber Terror at Silverwood. Go ahead, look up on YouTube a POV of Zeus and Timber Terror, watch them side by side. You'll see there are quite a few similarities, notably because they're both CCI out and back coasters. Similar stats, frankly, the biggest difference is that Timber Terror has an end helix and Zeus does not. Zeus also has a little bit more interaction with the terrain, which I'm going to talk about a little later, but I just thought that was really cool. It was something that I was unfamiliar with. So let's walk through this layout. You take a left-hand turn out of the station, building up a decent amount of speed, really. The station is elevated, so it slopes downward, and then that's when you hit the lift hill. You climb up 90 feet into the air, crest over, and take a left-hand turn into your drop. And from the moment you descend down that first hill, one of the things you're going to notice immediately is the pacing. This ride absolutely hauls through the layout. Now, I only rode it on one particular weekend, so I don't know if it flies that fast all the time, or if we just rode it at a really good period. But yeah, this thing is a speed machine. Not to mention, it's smooth. Actually, it's very smooth, which is surprising because Mount Olympus, you think, oh, rough old wooden roller coasters. But no, not Zeus. There was one particular moment, the turnaround. From what I heard, that used to be brutal. When I rode it, they had just completed some retracking and it was butter smooth. So those were the big things that stood out to me. Now, when you're a roller coaster in the same park that has Cyclops, you're pretty used to getting some ridiculous airtime. I stand by my statement that Cyclops has the best airtime in the park, though Zeus has more. Each of those hills gives airtime. It is not, oh my gosh, absolutely insane, but it's fun. This coaster is very re-rideable. I think it's also one of the most comfortable coasters in the park. Hades, you know, it's a phenomenal ride, but it has a bite to it. A little hard to marathon for some people. If you're one of those people, then I definitely recommend Zeus. This ended up being my second favorite ride in the park, more so than Cyclops. Not that I dislike Cyclops, because I absolutely love Cyclops. And even though that has the better airtime, Zeus, in my opinion, is a more quality attraction. Again, the airtime is not as good, but I'll tell you where it does beat it at is pacing, flow, and consistency. It's not the longest ride in the world. I'd say it actually feels around the same length as Cyclops, even though this one is much larger. You look at the track length, it's under 3,000 feet, but it doesn't have any dead spots. There is a moment in the second part. Once you've passed the turnaround, you kind of reach a higher up moment where you turn to the right, and that you slow down just a little bit, but not to the point where it feels like a dead spot. And actually, while we're talking about that trip back, the best moment of airtime is on a double down on that return trip. It's pretty freaking awesome, especially if you're sitting in the back. It's also one of the key moments of Zeus that is built into the terrain. Mount Olympus is actually a fairly hilly park, and so the designers of this thing really took that into account when they were doing the layout. You get really close to the ground and it sends you flying out of your seat. It's fantastic. And what would a coaster at Mount Olympus be without an elevated brake run and a slope back into the station? Very strange. I know I said that about Hades. Cyclops does it too. I don't get it. I think it's funny. But that about concludes your ride experience. For Zeus's final score, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. And I know there's going to be some people down in the comments that'll ask me, well, did you like it more than Timber Terror at Silverwood? Here's the thing. I've only ridden Timber Terror backwards. When I visited the park, I went during their Halloween event in which they rotate the train around to face in reverse. So I got a backwards experience on Timber Terror, which is awesome, but I don't feel like that's a fair way to compare it since my experience with that coaster was very different. Whenever I get back to Silverwood, I'll be sure to ride it facing forwards, and maybe then I'll be able to let you know which one I prefer, Zeus or Timber Terror. But I did like Timber Terror, and I really like Zeus. It's a great way to round out that fantastic top 3 category of Hades, Zeus, and Cyclops, 3 outstanding wooden roller coasters that you can find at Mount Olympus. So that's going to do it for this review. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree with my thoughts. If you're new to the channel, I'd love if you could check out other coaster reviews that I've done from rides all around the world. You can check that out in a playlist organized in alphabetical order. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.